Hello lovely people, welcome to the August update astrologically. So I have a couple of charts in front of me today, and this video is going to be based on the eclipses which we have happening in August 2026. So these eclipses are going to be affecting all of us, and it will depend obviously on where the signs are in your chart and what houses they are activating in your chart. But essentially when we go through eclipses, they're kind of like powerful new moons or full moons. So these are quite dynamic, I would say, looking at the charts. And the first eclipse we have is the solar total eclipse, which is happening on the 12th of August 2026, and this is going to be at 20 degrees of Leo. So we have had the last couple of years with a lot of spotlight on Virgo and Pisces energy, and now we're moving into the fixed signs of Aquarius and Leo for the next couple of years. There's going to be lots of emphasis on this kind of fixed energy, but this fixed energy is going to also be activated by quite dynamic energy, because it's a lot of fire and air in certainly in the chart of the solar total eclipse happening on the 12th of August. So eclipses are all about new beginnings, new starts, culminations, shifting timelines, moving onto different pathways, making new decisions about things, seeing another perspective, perhaps an opinion or a thought or a belief system. It's the time in our astrological lives where it's a checkpoint, a decision point, an opportunity to really review what's important to us. Are we on the right track? Are we trying to push for something that isn't for our highest good? And are we listening, really listening to our inner selves? One of the things that I've really been enjoying over these past 6 months, I've been going through my own health journey, if you like. I have a lot of Virgo and Pisces energy. So to anyone who has, well, we all experienced a lot of purging last year, but Virgo and Pisces have certainly had, a lot to have to unravel, decipher, and heal, really. So I'm really loving meditation. It's one of the things that I really wanted to make sure that I stay aligned to doing, because I really want to be able to hear the highest guidance and the highest thoughts that are coming through. And I think with AI and modern ways of living where we're constantly distracted, and our day can very much be hijacked by what we might see on social media, or what we might hear in the news, or what's going on in the world, or something that's happening in our family, or perhaps somebody's not replied to a text message, or there's these other external areas that we can get very kind of hyper focused on. And it's so important that we come back to our center, that we come back to who we truly are, who we really are, and be able to listen to the deeper and highest voices, the highest feelings and the highest guidance. And I think that that's when we really start to feel confused, dysregulated emotionally. We can start to feel like we can't make a decision about something. We start to feel like we're getting taken along with the tide, and not feeling in control of our own time and our own calendar and our own intentions. When we're not feeling like our time is being used in the way that we would like, that can build resentment, it can build frustration, and it can make us feel like we're constantly on the back foot. So with these eclipses in August, there's an opportunity to start to really think about a reset, a realignment, to start to look at what makes you feel valued, what makes you feel worth something, what makes you feel life is worth living and you're getting purpose and fulfillment from what you're doing. One of the things that I'm really aware of that seems to be a common theme with myself and the people around me is trying to live a more simplified life, to think about what we can let go of. That actually, do we need all the stuff and all the crap in the house and all the junk and all the clutter. And with fixed energy, certainly Leo, Aquarius, Taurus and Scorpio, if you have that quite strongly in your chart, although it's, we all have kind of like pros and cons to the energies that we hold, but fixed energy means we can be very stubborn, we can hold on to things, we don't want to let go. And the thing is that when we hold on and we don't want to let go, we build up, well, we block the opportunity for new energy to come in. So where in your life could you potentially be blocking new energy coming in? Are you holding on to the same old relationship? Are you holding on to the same old patterns of behaviour, of thinking? Are you doing the same monotonous routine that is really boring? And are you just doing things in the way that you should because you have certainty and you think, well, I know that that works? But the thing is our soul yearns to grow and evolve. We are here to expand, to grow. And that's what Leo energy is asking for us to do. So on the 12th of August, and obviously the build up to that, you may start to be feeling this. It's at 20 degrees, so if you have any planets around those degrees, then this is obviously going to be something that's going to perhaps be felt stronger for you, certainly if you are a fixed sign. But what I'm seeing in this chart is seeing it's a flow. It's quite a flowing kind of energy chart. There's lots of trines, lots of sextiles. There's an opportunity here for us to be thinking about creative hobbies, things that we really enjoy, opening up our mind to what would feel better than the way I'm feeling now. If I could imagine what good would feel like, if I could imagine what joy would feel like, if I could just make one or two changes to help me start to feel more expansive and joyful. That's what Leo is all about. It's about opening up, expanding, allowing creativity to flow through. Even if you're a kind of analytical, logical type of thinker, we all have creativity in us. Creativity is our evolution. It's the yin and the yang. It's the ultimate life force that flows through our system. So creative expression is so important, and this eclipse is asking you to start to look at, to realign, to review, to honour the joy and the passion, and how can you make your life a little bit more joyful than it is now. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who aren't happy and feeling very dysregulated. So looking at this chart, there is a lovely grand trine between Venus in Libra, Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, and I think that that is a nice energy to be using. Obviously with trines, use it or lose it. It's an energy that is there, supportive, holding you, giving you the green light. What are the messages that you have been feeling strongly that have been coming through that you've been ignoring? Or maybe you're not hearing any messages and you're feeling really confused about what's next, what to do about this relationship or job, or whether I take this direction or that direction. Take time to sit in your own peace, in your own silence, to really start to listen more to the quieter voices, because they have the strongest messages. And we've got Jupiter in Leo, Jupiter blessing this energy, wanting us to expand and evolve and create. It wants us to be bigger thinkers, visionaries. And Leo does have an opposition to Pluto. Mars in Cancer is trine the North Node in Aquarius. Neptune is opposite Venus. But what I really like is Jupiter in Leo and Mercury in Leo, both sextiling Gemini. Uranus in Gemini, which is all about ideas, creative inspiration, downloads, really starting to take at least one or two steps forward to creating more joy, to creating more fulfillment, to considering what needs to be let go of, what needs to be released in order for you to move forward, in order for you to make a different decision. Maybe it's a belief system. You can be very fixed in, we can all be very fixed in our belief systems, and they're so limiting when we're not able to understand the root of the fears that are holding us back, or these make-believe beliefs that kind of define us because of our past. And this energy is there to give you the opportunity to really look at how you think differently about something. How can you do something a different way? You know, Uranus loves to do things differently, to do things in a unique way, to go off the beaten track, to experiment. Oh, lovely white feather there. To experiment, to create and innovate, and to release the palpable creative energy inside itself. There's a lot of fire and air in this eclipse chart for the Leo eclipse in August, the beginning of 12th of August. So with air and fire, this is very much about creating momentum. It can feel quite fast energy, and it might be because pretty much most of the planets are involved in this eclipse. But with Uranus there, certainly involved in that trine, and Venus is about what you value and what you love. It can be that these kind of ideas and downloads could just come out of nowhere, could be left field, or decisions, you know, suddenly it's like, boom, I really don't like that person anymore, I don't like the way they're treating me, or I don't want to do this particular thing anymore, I don't like thinking this particular way, or this particular belief system, or this particular way I'm eating. You know, some kind of powerful thought and action that follows, because the energy can be so palpable and can be so felt. But you know, Leo is all about active, you know, active action, momentum, creativity, leadership. It's being around children, youthfulness, having courage to step into the spotlight and be seen and be heard. I know that I've talked a lot about identity in my videos, and I feel like we are all going through this kind of identity realignment, where it might be that we're doing the same things as we did before, but maybe with a different perspective, with a different version of ourselves, with a different belief system, or a different network of people around us supporting us, or a different way that we're looking after our body, which can obviously have a big difference or make a big impact on how life unfolds. And ultimately, the body just wants to be healthy, it just wants to be in balance, and it's always trying to realign itself. And so that's what the planets do. They help us to kind of bring balance into our life and knock us off track if something isn't good for us, it's not for our highest good. So heart-centered conversations, dramatic emotional clearing, hobbies, joy, permission to enjoy life. And Saturn is also trying to this eclipse energy, to the sun and the moon. So this is about stability, foundations, reviewing what isn't working, no more cutting corners or trying to do the cheat sheet. This is about how can I really bring stability and safety to my wellness, to my life, to my relationships, to how I live, to how I spend my money, to how I use my resources, to the ideas, to the entrepreneurship, the business idea, the side hustle. Saturn is there offering this stable, I say stable, but you know, Saturn also brings lessons, so this can also manifest itself as some kind of lesson depending on which area of life this is activating in your chart. But there is it's not like a kind of blink and you miss it kind of feel for this eclipse. It's very grounded, it's very bringing ideas down from the imagination into the ground and actually making something of it so that it looks tangible, so that it looks like something that is real in front of you. So this new moon eclipse, 12th of August, which is the solar total eclipse, is offering all of this dynamic, fiery energy to move forward with ideas, perspectives, decisions. But at the same time, we obviously need to be mindful of burning ourselves out too much, or to not think things through and kind of dive into things too quickly. This can also be something coming left field, or something coming out of nowhere that suddenly just changes the way you see someone, or changes the way you think about something. Or it's perhaps a decision you've been waiting a long time for, or wrapping up contracts. You know, it's like that kind of energy. It's definitely an energy that is helping us to move forward and get us onto the right track, get us onto the right path, and to evolve into a better and higher manifested life. So that is the Leo eclipse on the 12th of August. And then on the 28th of August, we have the water and earth activated partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. So the sun will be in Virgo, the moon is in Pisces, so that makes this a Pisces lunar eclipse. When I was studying these charts and I was putting my notes together on these charts, I actually wrote more for this eclipse. So I'm going to really sort of pack this in, and I hope that you can follow it okay. But it's a very active and activated water and earth kind of energy eclipse happening on the 28th of August. And the planets involved, pretty much all of them, most of them, but the thing that stands out to me is Mercury is conjunct the Sun. So with that, there are messages, there are conversations, there is information coming through that is going to very much form part of this eclipse energy. And the moon is obviously all about our emotions and how we're feeling, and our home and our family, and the imagination and intuition. So these could be ideas and downloads that could come through very strongly in meditation, or it could be conversations that you are having with people, or deciding that you want to instigate to start to make some changes that are for your highest good. Virgo and Pisces is the health and well-being axis, really. It's the subconscious mind, it's the food we put in our body, it's the daily service that we give to others, and it's our daily work. But ultimately, the theme that I feel is coming through very strongly here is having important conversations about how we feel, receiving information that might feel a little bit uncomfortable or lead us to some kind of change. It could be, of course, the endings and the culminations, of course, and in order for a new beginning to happen, we have to end and we have to let go of things and release things. Virgo is also about decluttering, organising things and having more structure in our day and routines. And actually the lower expression of Virgo is chaos and messiness and destruction and feeling really disorganised. So if those are some of the areas that you potentially feel a little weaker in, then this eclipse could very much see you to start to organise maybe your day, maybe your your routines, what you're eating, what you're putting into your body. Pisces is very much about the subconscious mind, and because Mercury is involved in this conjunction, this can be the psychological well-being. Of course, our whole body is looking for that balance, and whatever we are putting into our body and also what we're thinking and feeling has an impact on how our body responds. So we could be trying to do the best in terms of what we're eating, but if we don't work on the psychological and cognitive aspects, that can mean that maybe you're not quite feeling as well as you'd like to be feeling. And it's the same the other way. You could be doing all the psychological work and working with your therapist and doing all the talking and getting stuff out your system, but then, binging on sugar or eating a lot of carbohydrates or stuffing processed food into your system is going to have a big effect as well. And this is just an area that I am so interested in. I have a moon in Virgo, and health has been a topic in my life because it's very heavily aspected in my natal chart. So I've done a lot of research and a lot of learning around health for my own well-being, and the two have to marry one another. It's not like go on a super healthy diet and eat as many vegetables and salads as you can and you're going to feel great. It's working on the emotional regulation and balancing the nervous system and supporting the mind. And then, like say the other way around, seeking therapy, talking about your problems and issues and expressing yourself is great, but then the diet and the lifestyle and the health need to balance that out. And obviously, moving the body. So with Mercury involved here, this is very much about bright ideas, downloads, decluttering, sorting, reviewing health, habits, behaviours, getting the answers you need. Perhaps you've been waiting to find out about something and in it comes, which means that you can really close up a certain part of your life and start to move on into the direction that you've been really wanting. Perhaps you've been really waiting for that for a long time. Maybe there's something that you felt really blocked about, and then suddenly out of nowhere in comes the idea and the solution. This eclipse in Pisces on the 28th of August can also be about making a decision. It could be a tipping point. Maybe you're experiencing so much pain and you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I need to make some change and I need to make it now. And it's just like that. It's like that boost of momentum just kind of really supporting you, and it's like the wind's behind you and you can move forward with it. August is going to be a very good month actually to be starting something new and ending old bad habits and starting new ones. Like so much good energy for that, especially with Mercury out of retrograde as well. So, wrapping up new starts, closure. There is also a Venus opposite Saturn, 13 Aries, Saturn 13 Aries, and Venus is in Libra at 20 degrees. So this could be you reviewing your self-esteem, your self-worth, how you're feeling. Perhaps noticing the inner self-talk and the inner criticism, and starting to learn how to speak to yourself in a more compassionate way. To start to understand these parts of you that actually just need love and compassion. Maybe this is about reorientating your values. Perhaps it's about having a different perspective about someone or something. Because Venus rules money and resources and our relationships, this could be conversations about relationships. What's important to me? What's important to us as a unit? How could I bring more positivity to this relationship? How could you bring more positivity to this relationship? What could I do to be more accountable in making sure that I am doing the best I know how within my relationships, within myself, within my well-being? How can I hold myself accountable to that? And not being hard on yourself. The thing is, when Saturn is opposite Venus, sometimes we can be a little hard on ourselves. We can maybe notice that the inner self-talk's creeping up a bit. So just, taking that time again to sort of go inside and notice the kind of conversations that you're having within that could potentially be sabotaging your progress or the way you feel about yourself. Because it's not healthy. When we're saying negative things to ourselves, our body is literally responding to that. It could be anyone saying that. So it responds to that and it weakens. So having that more pleasant, or having more awareness about how those inner conversations are going, is going to benefit you in multiple ways. And then Jupiter is trine to Saturn, so these ideas that you really want to start to get momentum on, perhaps this new start that you really want to kind of start to move forward in, Saturn and Jupiter are there, big ideas being grounded down into formations, into something tangible, something that's long lasting and sustainable. Great opportunity. I think August will be a great time to start a business or a side hustle, because all that lovely Leo energy, all those creative ideas coming through. And then I always like to mention boundaries, because boundaries is something that we all probably have to be aware of and be mindful of and review every now and then, because if we don't have boundaries, then we can feel resentment, we can feel burnout, we can feel frustrated, and if we're not getting enough time for ourselves, we try to make that up, perhaps in habits that aren't good for us. And Pisces is very much the addiction sign. It can be the sign where we go to escape. We want to just forget about reality, or forget about a busy day or a hard conversation, and then disappear into the wine or into the drugs or into spending money, or any kind of addictive tendencies. So this full moon, if there is something there, binge eating for instance, emotional eating, there's something there that you would really like to change, then this eclipse on the 28th of August is very much inviting you to review, reflect, to go inside, to connect with yourself, really ask what's missing, what is it you're trying to fix, what is it you're trying to complete. And when we have healthy boundaries, then we don't have as much resentment, we don't have a need to want to escape so much. We want to open ourselves up and be more expansive, perhaps be a little bit more careful about our time and investment into others. Because if we put in more time and investment into others, is that a deflection? Is that a way to distract ourselves from some of the things that are going on within inside us? So those are my musings for the month of August, and it's going to be certainly a dynamic month, but I feel a lot of purging and a lot of reorientating and realignments and opportunities for us to expand, grow, evolve. That's what eclipses are. It's always about taking us onto something better. So even if you're feeling in a really shit place at the moment, just know that it's only temporary, can change. Working on the inner self-talk, taking those moments in peace to go inside, really start to listen to the quietest voices, giving you the guidance that you need in order for you to create the best life, to be the best version of you, and the best version of you for other people as well. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the next video.